All right. We'll now call the City Council regular meeting to order for March the 9th, 6 p.m. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation was given by Frostproof City Councilman Adam Greenway.
Shall we pray together tonight? Gracious God, we are thankful for the opportunity to gather together as a city to transact the business that is before us tonight. We ask for your blessing to be upon this council, upon this staff, and upon all of the deliberations tonight. May everything that transpires here be for your glory and for the good of the citizens of the city of Charm, Avon Park. We pray these things in your name, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you, brother. Madam Clerk, if you will please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Here.
Councilmember McCure?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor? Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Here.
Mayor Anderson?
Here. Thank you. Item number 5, this will be an update to 101 West Main Street Development. Ms. Sarah Pipel. Whenever you're ready.
If it's okay, I'm going to hand out a site plan that's been finalized.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please don't share this with outside.
Okay.
I'm just, for your eyes.
I would just point out, we may not have a choice.
Yeah.
Public record.
That's true.
We like to keep this small so people see it as it's growing. Sarah Pipel, 100 East Main Street, Avon Park. So I'm here to give an update on what has been going on with 101 West Main. We are basically current with our benchmarks as far as we're still waiting on the comp plan amendment approval, which I'm hoping will be tonight, so we can change putting in 8 units on the second floor. And we're going to, once that is done, we are going to submit the site plan for review, which I gave you a copy of. And also we are doing a rezoning application to change it from a C4 to a PUD. We're just ready to go. We're just waiting on the comp plan.
So to be clear, this has
Approval.
not been turned into the city yet at this point.
It was turned in for a original, hold on, I'll tell you exactly. It was proposed site plan.
Okay.
So that was turned in, and there were no revisions from the city council. We had 20 days of the proposed site plan submittal for you guys to give your objection. There were no objections to that. So now we're just waiting on, like I said, the comp plan revision, which should be, I think the final reading is this evening on that.
Do you happen to have the first floor? This is just the second floor, right?
No, that's the first floor. That's just the site plan. I do have all of the electrical, plumbing, structural, everything that goes with it. This is the site plan that, just for you guys to review, but we have the second floor. The second floor is going to consist of 8 units, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and they're going to be with balconies. Every one of them will have a balcony. That's just the site plan part of the plans, but we have all the plans. And if anyone would like a set of those, I can email those to you. So once we get that done and we go to the rezoning, on page 14 of the contract, I just want to clarify this. it says, "The city shall waive any fees due and owing to the city associated with the variance request for the project. This section 16.6C shall not serve to obligate the city to pay for or waive any fees due and owed to Highlands County or any other governmental agency." So my question is, the planning and, when we go in front of planning and zoning, which of course I'll recuse myself since I'm on that, but once we go there to get the rezoning application done, and Jerry, I believe you did the contract, we are not responsible for any fees when it pertains to that?
Catching me, I did not know that issue would come up, but I can look at that. If you'd like to shoot me an email, I'd be happy to correspond with
Absolutely,
you.
because I want to know what fees, because we did put up an additional $35,000 back on, let me look at my notes, I have all my notes here, back on 5/5/25 when we finalized the contract, when it became final.
Yeah, I
We
was
put
involved in that.
$5,000 in escrow and $35,000 that was to be to any fees or closing costs, expenditures, the 20,000 still owed at closing.
Well, I believe you. I just wasn't involved in the closing, but if you'll shoot me the
We haven't had the
information-
closing yet.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have that discussion with you. Just-
Okay,
I need to just look over
fantastic.
the contract. I don't want to shoot from the hip.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Any other questions?
I just have a quick question. On the site plan, it's kind of zero lot line on to the front of it.
Correct.
I just want to make sure. I know there's the building just to the west of it. There's somewhat the issues when you go out. You know how you have to bring the base floor elevation up to a certain height. I just want to make sure that I don't if possible that we don't get that extending too far out because it becomes say trip hazard. But if
and it does have a room for that building, so that way people there's actually going to be a walkway down that side.
okay,
But
that's-
you're talking about where it goes next to Miguel Soto's building?
Yeah, like the sidewalk that fronts Main Street.
Yes.
So in that area there, I just want to make sure that just the ramps aren't protruding too far into the sidewalk. Or, I mean, it's better that when they're set back a little bit in the future, if you ever have
Correct.
any expansion or anything like that, then you have that ability. But if you push it all the way up to the road, up to the sidewalk, then it leaves you very minimal space to make any improvements. I just wanted to just make that aware.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware of, and I will double check with the contractor, it's supposed to be all level. There shouldn't be a major transition where it would interfere with the sidewalk, just like the buildings that are there right now. Or just like, 100.
Yeah,
or-
I think the way it is now, it should be like the transition shouldn't be in the right of way. The transition should be
Before,
but this
yeah,
was,
on the property.
we can't stop from years ago, and you
Yeah.
got their ADA access and everything else. I just want to make sure that it doesn't get pushed all the way out. Then it's wanting a variance or something.
You're
to where-
talking about for ADA access for wheelchairs?
any ramp. So wherever I just want to make sure that the sidewalk in front is flat and that there's not ramps going.
Well, that I will have to double check with that, because according to ADA compliance, if you're building on zero lot line, you have to be able to put a ramp or a slope where the wheelchairs can get in. So we can't set the building back 10 feet just to have the transition. It usually does go in, and the sidewalks are wide enough to be able to give access to those people in wheelchairs.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's a variance.
Yeah, it's
I don't
going
wanna
to be
have-
in compliance with ADA, because
Okay.
we're going to have an elevator, and we're actually going to have, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think 2 units upstairs that are going to be ADA compliant as far as lower countertops, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
So I just have a couple questions. This form, Liz, that you gave us, this is from the city side, right?
Correct.
Okay. So on the city site plan review, where it says deadline was July 21st, 2025, it says no beside it.
There was an email that was sent, and it was sent in May, and it was sent to Dr. Kelly. We don't know do you know what the response was?
Yeah, everything was fine. We sent
So-
in the proposed site plan up, and it was approved. There was no issues as far, and nobody at the city said no. We are up to benchmarks. I have it here. The conceptual schematics weren't due site development, actually due 7/2/25, and we submitted it before that. Then sellers' comments were supposed to be back to us within 20 days. There were no comments from the city that any changes needed to be made. So right now we're waiting on applying for the permits, and we can't do that until the comp plan is approved. So
Okay.
it's all in the city's,
So did you actually get like a response from Dr. Kelly then to your email saying that there
Yes.
were? So do we have a copy of
That's-
that email?
That's what I asked. I asked Matt if he can go through and try to pull that. So he's going to try to pull the records to find it.
It's not-
I didn't have it available to me. It's in. It was
Right,
downloaded.
because on the
archived.
next page under staff notes, it said Randy LaBelle and Jeff Schmucker advised that the plans were not received by their office. So is that normally part of the reception of these site plans?
So, yes, you're right. I think I may be able to clear up a little of maybe the variance question and the prior question as well. Let me go back to the prior question when we talked about fees. In the contract, it specifically says that the city will waive any variances, and it's very clear. It says variances. Does not say site plan review, does not say anything else. I don't know if how do I say this? Is that working now? Thank you. Huh. Okay, so I don't know what the context of that particular page meant, if it means variance from site plan review for what, but a variance is not, basically a variance goes in front of the planning and zoning board and that's it. There is no other approval. Their recommendation is binding. I think the word variance was a poorly used word in that because it means one thing. I've already ran over this with Jeff Schmucker today, with Stephanie here. And none of these things that she is seeking are considered variances. So it may have been what the contract meant to say was any and all fees incurred by the city, but it specifically mentions variance and nothing else. So I don't know if whoever drafted the contract, if they meant specifically a variance, because I can give you the 7.11.00 in our land code specifically outlines what a variance is, and it has to do with like setbacks and that, not zoning issues. So the question was is the applicant responsible for these fees? I will tell you the site plan review fee is not a variance, but according to this, it could be. We also have the rezoning fee that Ms. Pipe is currently seeking. That is not a variance. That is a rezone. With those comes 2 public hearings. Okay, normally it's $1,200 per advertisement that the city incurs when you advertise, because those are both publicly mandated advertisements. So there's $2,400 right there in advertising fees that will have to be decided on who's going to pay for that, because those are about $1,200 for each one. You'll need one for the planning and zoning portion of it, and you'll also need one for the public hearing when it comes to council. So that's where I speak on the variances. Fast forward to what you originally asked me. We have not received any official site plan from this development. There was a conceptual site plan that was given. I remember sitting in here when I think it was given to the board, but we've received nothing, because even if we did receive it, it would have been null and void because of this comp plan amendment that's before you tonight. The original site plan, I think, was seeking 8 dwelling units per acre, which would have been null and void because you could only had 4 under the current zoning unless, and if I misspeak, please, Steph can, she can remind me I'm wrong, but that's where we're at. So we did not see it. A normal site plan review process starts with a fee. It comes to the city. It then comes to me. I then send it to CFRPC. They then instruct me to send it to our DRC, which is our Development Review Committee, with a timeline for initial contents. That Development Review Committee consists of an engineer who we outsource, Fire Department, Public Works, and CFRPC. None of that happened.
That is correct. Randy is correct on that. What you guys received was a proposed site plan that was before the comp plan was to be revised. I have those emails and I can forward them to the city manager and the attorney if you like. Dr. Kelly at that time received a full set of, and you should have it in your office. No, she actually had, yeah, and she actually had a full set, the full rolled up set of the proposed site plan, not the ones that you're talking about that has to go in front of everybody to sign off. We can't do that until we have the, what's before us tonight, the comp plan. Yeah.
I mean, looking at it, it's because I asked Liz to go over, try to summarize the timeline so everyone could look and kind of see what the schedule was. It's when we did go in, we looked at the site plan because I saw that was at July
site plan.
Yeah, July 1st. But then we found the email, but then we didn't see anything else because there was a binder and we had that site plan in it, but it didn't have the email. So we were just looking for a response. I get it. When I was trying to figure out how things happen, it was going through my head that likely you got to the point where there has to be, the density, and you have to go back to future land use and everything else. And I've known that since I've been here, that we've been working on that. And here it is in front of us tonight. And I think once this gets done, then I feel like it's going to start moving
yeah,
pretty
it'll move
quick.
fast. And like I said, up until this point, and before Dr. Kelly left, we sat down, both my client, myself, sat down, and she verified everything with us. We went through the timeline that she had given us with the original contract. I think we're interchanging, Brittany, you're interchanging proposed site plan with the official site plan. The official site plan is going to be submitted once the comp plan has been approved, and that's when the fire chief, planning, all the different departments sign off on it. So I can't provide that until we get the comp plan approved. So the delay in providing that has been because we're waiting on that approval. And I believe the holdup was because it had to go back to the state because they had to change the language.
Okay, so I guess I see where you're saying the proposed site plan, but then on the next paragraph it says that after the proposed site plan has been approved, if there's anything that needs to be changes, yada yada yada, all that would be changed and become the revised site plan.
Mm-hmm.
But
If you
then
guys
it
had any
said-
changes before we did the final site plan, which,
Well, but then it says, the only thing that is a little confusing, it says seller's approval of the proposed site plans or revised site plans as applicable shall constitute the final site plan.
correct. And that can't happen until we have the comp, hold on.
But as far as seller's comments, that wouldn't just be Dr. Kelly, that would have been this.
I don't know anything about that. That's
Yeah, it would
behind
have
the
been
scenes.
Seller-
would have been the council, in my opinion. It would have, because it was for us to take a look at and decide. Kind of like I made a comment tonight. If you had a comment that you wanted, for instance, say she had palm trees, I think say we don't want palm
We
trees.
don't-
there.
yeah, and we're not putting
so
palm trees,
If
yeah.
there was something along those lines that we wanted to, make a comment to, and then that way she could finalize the process, because this is purely conceptual right now,
Mm-hmm.
because we can't put anything together until hopefully right after we get the approval
Yes.
tonight, and then things will start moving.
Yeah, and we can't go by, that timeline gets pushed out because we've been waiting for that change. So you can't, you can't hold us to dates that we can't perform because we're waiting on that comp change.
Well, certainly you could have provided a site plan that fit into the zoning as it was.
I'm sorry?
You're basically insinuating that you needed a zoning change before you could give the site plan.
No, not the zoning change. Well, I'm talking about the comp plan amendment.
Yep, comp plan amendment.
Yeah, we needed to wait for that.
Right. You're saying
Yeah.
that you wanted that change before you submitted a site plan, and what we're saying is that contractually you could have submitted something without that fit into it already.
No,
That was the point.
all that was required was for us to give a proposed site plan to see if you guys had any changes. I received an email that there was no changes to go forward with the next step, which we've been trying to do with Jeff Schmucker, get that completed. Once that's completed, because this stuff has been sitting in my office for, 2 months now? So it's been sitting there because we're waiting for you guys to decide if you're going to change the comprehensive plan. Once that is done, then we submit all that with the applications, the zoning change, everything at one time with the final site plan.
So when you said Dr. Kelly sent you the email that said that no changes were needed,
Correct.
but
You-
was that just based on Dr.
On the
Dr.
proposed
Kelly?
site plan. I don't know. I don't work for the
That's
city.
what I'm trying to figure out. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
saying
don't
that you
know.
do. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Ms.
figure out on
Piper,
the city
do you have
side.
do you have the email
I will
from
go back.
Dr. Kelly? Do you have that? If you could provide it, if possible, I think it'd help us out.
I'm just trying to
help
figure out, did
yeah.
she just look at it? Did Randy said he didn't see it? Jeff Schmucker said he didn't see it. So I'm trying to see who saw it.
I can't say it's in. There's drawings and everything that are in a folder. I can say that, but it just when that email went back saying, "Hey, we think it looks good," it's kind of
Right, like whose opinion was that?
Yeah, that's up to you guys to figure out who did what. I mean,
if you show the email, help us out.
yeah, I'm gonna have to search for it.
So I'm
I could look into it once I get
This
to
is
the
my
email.
first time speaking here, and I'm not here to make anybody look bad in any way, but I do find that what she's saying about the 20 days of receipt or the site plan that she submitted, it does say that if we don't respond, then it's considered the official.
Accepted.
Now,
Right, and-
with that said, though, at the very end of that section, it does note, for avoidance of doubt, the approval of the final site plan does not include approval of any land use changes, building applications and permits, or other governmental approval and permissions necessary for the project. In this case, we have the density situation going on, so we can't move forward with a finalize. We have to have that go through to then.
Yeah, since you guys didn't respond to me, I did not receive one single email to the contrary saying that you had any changes to the proposed site plan. It states it in the contract that we move forward, and that's what we did was move
Ms.
forward.
Pipel, although I did mention that part, even what you submitted wouldn't be approved because of the process that
Yes,
we're going
exactly. We have to wait for that to be done, and once that's done, I'm going to send everyone the finalized site plan that everybody can sign off on.
So did you not hear back from anybody in 20 days?
I heard back from Dr. Kelly that said everything looked good. Nobody had, I guess, any objections. I can't tell you what happened behind at City Hall because
Right.
don't
I know
work
that's
for you.
not your responsibility.
All I know is 20 days passed. There was nothing. I sent an email to Dr. Kelly, and I will supply the email that I received.
Okay. All right, that would be helpful.
Because we were communicating back and forth to make sure we stayed up to date on the benchmarks.
Council, with respect, I did look at a video previously where you guys designated Kelly as the person to receive that information. So unfortunately, because of the situation that we are in now, some of those steps might have been missed. And that was a motion that was made previously.
Right. I guess my thing is, if it was not, before you go down too far down the rabbit hole as far as the final site plan, it might be beneficial for our agencies that normally review these proposed site plans to at least take a look at it to avoid any future issues if all of them are saying they haven't seen it.
Well,
Do you see what I'm
that's
saying?
not, I mean, we've met those benchmarks. Now we're going back to that. I just gave you a site plan right there.
Right, but I'm not an engineer and I'm not Randy and I'm
But you're
not,
asking
you know.
them to have fees involved and us to pay for them to preview something that we're not there yet. Because the proposed site plan was just for your eyes to see if there was anything you objected, like the palm trees. Great, no palm trees. I don't have, we don't have a problem with that. What you're asking us to do is what the next step is, which we are prepared to do that, and that's when the engineers will look at it, that's when the fire department will look at it, that's when everybody will look at it. So we're on track. I understand what you're saying, but that's, we are up to date on everything we're supposed to. So once the comp plan amendment has been approved tonight, I'm going to send out the whole thing to you tomorrow so you can have the site plan and everything.
Right, and I'm not asking you to do like a formal site plan with them. I'm just thinking if none of the agencies have actually seen it, it seems like it would be more beneficial for some of them to look at it.
It would
It's-
be
I don't think it's just
it would be
anything
a
about palm
mild
trees.
look over, a mild review that we look if
to
we
see
see
if there's
anything
not
out of the
something
ordinary.
blaring on
Yeah.
there. Hey, keep
And
in
then-
mind for when you submit
Okay, so
the
what
final.
exactly do you guys want? Because the site plan, you have that right now. That's all that was required. You don't need the electrical, you don't need the plumbing, you don't need the structural yet. All you needed was the site plan.
Yeah,
Correct? So I just provided that to you today. That's what the site plan is. I mean, that's what was
I
provided.
understand what a site plan is. I'm just
But
for
you're
the
asking me to provide something I just gave you, so what more? I'm trying
No,
to get the
Miss-
correct stuff, so I
Ms.
know
Piper,
what to say.
we want to do a look over. It's not going
Yeah.
to take very long.
I know.
We'll put, everybody wants the bushes long,
And
right? So-
I'm willing to cooperate,
so-
but I just gave you the site plan, so
Yeah,
I'm
that-
asking you,
right.
what else do you need?
So that we're going to look at it.
Okay.
And then what's a good, a week turnaround, 2 weeks?
I mean, that's
to-
up
Well,
to
no,
So,
see, now you're delaying everything else again. You can't do that. Your time period to look at the proposed site plan has passed. Once you vote tonight, we're ready to move forward.
Yeah, I mean,
But if you're telling me now that you want to review it for another week, that's going to set us back even more.
It wasn't approved. It's, although we had the 20 days to respond, at the end of the section.
I understand, but nobody responded.
Correct. Although we didn't respond, that paragraph still clarifies that we need to go through with the density paperwork. So until that
Yeah.
doesn't happen, even though you submitted a site plan, it's not even considered technically conceptual. I'm not an attorney, but that's what's written on there.
Jerry, you're an attorney. Do you want to? Because I want to do what you guys want me to do, because we want to move forward with this project. We've already spent a ton of money on architectural drawings, on surveys, on.
I understand you want to move forward, but it would seem to me like, we need time to look at this and make sure that well, first of all, we don't have anything to show that we received it and it was responded to. If that is the case, then we can act, but you can see how we can't act on it right sitting here, because
Okay.
we didn't, it would have been helpful if you brought that with you, and then we could
I
see-
have a full set of the plans, but what we were told was site plan, and that's what I brought.
Yeah. But
What more do you need? And I will make sure to email a copy to everybody so we can move this forward.
tell her what more she needs, then.
No, I think we just, I mean, if we see an email, it comes up like what you said, as being that you received something back because you said that Dr. Kelly said that it looks good, everything
Okay.
looks fine. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So if that's the case, and Dr. Kelly, then that was the approval that was given to you. However, if that's not the case, a quick look over, we look at everything, make sure everything's right. We're not going, this isn't a huge looking at it. This is, like I just talked about.
I understand
the
that, but are you going to
setbacks.
push the timeline then?
I'm not, I mean, the timeline is already off. We're trying to get it, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to speak on it tonight, so everyone's on the same page, and we're trying to move it along and to demonstrate that you've done everything that you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
including that we have the future land use and everything getting looked
I'm
at
trying to find the
tonight.
email.
So,
I'm not ignoring
no,
you,
that's
so.
fine. That's okay. So my goal is to have it happen really fast. I mean,
Right, well,
Otherwise, if everyone's okay with it and we move it along, I mean, it wasn't, this is you just giving an update.
Correct.
And there's 2 items on tonight that need to get approved, and then if everything is fine, I guess maybe I send an additional email out and say, yeah, everything looks good, but if you're okay with us looking at it internally, and if we think it looks fine.
I'm okay with it. I just don't want to delay any further because, like I said, I have proposed tenants that are, we're all waiting for this to be done so we could be done quickly.
And if they made the motion for the city manager to be the point person, I'll be the point person if everything looks fine, unless you all want to come back and look at it again.
I'm not saying I have to look at it. I'm not the engineer and I'm not in code enforcement and all that stuff. I want the individuals who normally look at it, and I'm not saying delay it, but I want, if it has not been approved by any of the, or even seen by any of those people, and I'm not talking about a formal site plan, I understand the difference between the two, but I want them to at least take a gander at it.
Understood.
So the contract basically said that within 60 days of the effective date, purchaser shall submit to seller a proposed conceptual schematic site development plan of the project. She says she has. Do we have verification that occurred?
Yeah, we have it. I mean, we're looking at it. Yeah.
Then seller shall have 20 days from the receipt of the proposed site plan to review and provide written comment on same to purchaser. If seller fails to respond within said 20-day period, the proposed site plan will be deemed approved.
Right, and I'm not arguing with that whatsoever, but I think it would be beneficial for the city to look at it, the people that are supposed to look at it, to help prevent additional, it's not your final one anyway.
No. Well,
It's
that's
not your-
all we have is the final one.
So it is your final site plan?
Unless there's some drastic thing wrong with structural or electrical, which I doubt. I mean, in architecture, everything is done. We're ready to move forward. That's what I'm not understanding.
Yeah, and I'm not telling them to, I'm not telling you
I
to
know,
stop
but I'm
on
saying,
anything.
You look at it. You said it yourself. You're not an electrician. You're not an architect. You're not. So when we send it to the fire, when we send it to all these departments that have to sign off on the final site plan, if there's any issues, they're going to bring it to our attention, and then we'll fix it.
Well-
So having this step right now, delaying it for another week, it doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just saying.
Understand?
Yeah.
Well, so how long is it going to take you to get this?
Not long at all. We'll make it a priority. I think it'll be quick.
Okay,
It'll be fast.
that's fine.
It'll
If
be
you're
fast.
okay with that, then let's just do
I'm
that.
totally okay with that.
just-
Because you know why? If you come back to us and say the fire department thinks this needs to be changed, or whoever else you have looking at it, that's part of the next step
Part of the review anyway.
So,
Yeah.
That was my whole point.
yeah,
is
that's
if
the
if
part
they-
of the next step. So why don't we get all the paperwork in and have everybody look at it and,
We're doing that.
Sounds reasonable.
okay.
Okay.
Good.
So what's a reasonable time? When you say reasonable time, what could that be?
As fast as I can get. I mean, my goal is this week.
I will give you a complete set right now.
My goal is this week. That's fine?
This is the
Councilwoman Cook.
final. I will give it to you right now. So that way,
We'll make
and
it
I
a
want
pri- we'll
everybody
make
to
it a
witness I'm
priority.
giving it, so I want to hear that we didn't receive it.
You understand this still has to go through the PUD process.
Exactly.
Without that, this is null
Yeah.
and void. This doesn't exist.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to explain, but.
Okay, the second item, I guess, is looking at this is that Randy is, of course, is correct. That does say variances, and none of these things you're asking for are variances, then
Okay, that's fine. We don't
Unless-
have,
unless-
like I said, we put up $35,000 specifically for all this, so
okay. All right, thank
another 12, what is it, 12, what'd you say, Randy? 2,500 and 350, I think?
It's usually not much.
I can talk about it. It's going to be 2,400 with just a deposit for the 2 advertisements. The fee itself for the site plan for the second review is $350, and then whatever. There'll be a deposit to our engineer. We will send the engineer the site plan. They'll give us an idea how much engineering costs will be, and then we'll ask. Jeez.
and then we'll ask for an amount for that. So there'll be 3 deposits, or actually 2 deposits. One's for advertising, one is for engineering, and then the site plan review fee and the rezoning fee that currently we are going to talk about. That that's forthcoming because Ms. Pipel has the rezone application. It has not been turned in yet. So that'll be a $350 as well. So we're about just around $3,000, give or take.
Like project ending.
Yeah, I have all the emails back and forth, so I'll send you everything I have.
Well, yeah, just correspond with Randy as to the payments and so on, and so we can make sure and verify, because I don't have much to say other than there's a question
Yeah.
that comes up about it.
Exactly. And when we were negotiating the contract, I have all the emails going back and forth, so I can provide those as well. So, but, well, that's not a problem. Now, who am I handing the site plan? This is a complete site plan with electrical, plumbing, everything. Who am I handing this to?
Jason.
Jason, you're all in accordance because I want it on video. Okay.
Got it.
I have one question for you, if you don't mind. I know that you're in a hurry to get this done, and I think
I can't hear, I'm sorry.
we're in a hurry to get this done too.
Yeah.
We've been waiting about a year and a half or something like that.
No, we've only been waiting since June, hold on, I'll tell you exactly when. March, April, May 5th, 2025.
Okay, so my other question is, when do you plan on having, if things go smoothly after this week, when do you plan on having the product finished and getting the CO to get actually businesses or people in? What year is that going to be?
That's going to be, we're in 2026, so probably the beginning to middle of 2027. So because we have tenants that we have been negotiating with to come in there. As long as everything goes smoothly and knock on wood, there's no major hurricanes or any major disasters that happen, we're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to go. The only thing that has held us back is the comp plan change. So,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Anything else on the update? All righty.
I just want to, I'm still a little confused. The site plan that was turned over to the city manager, does that initiate the official site plan review? That I now have a copy of it. I will collect a fee for it. I will then send it to our DRC. Actually, I'll send it to Central Florida Regional Planning Council first. They will then give me the initial deadline for initial comments from the DRC. I'm just trying to figure out, or is this an unofficial, just, hey, let's look at it, and this doesn't start the clock yet?
Yeah, because that's important, And also the fees that Mr. LaBelle is talking about, that comes out of the $35,000 we put up on May 5th, correct? Because that's what it was set for, Jerry.
So,
Well, look at me.
The $35,000 that they required for us to put up for any fees. I have that as well on page, hold on, so it'll make it easy for you. Page 6, is it page 6? Hold on. I have so many notes. Nope, I'm sorry. Page 8. Page 8, section 6C. In accordance with the RFP, purchaser shall reimburse the seller for the actual out-of-pocket costs and expenses incurred, fees for consultants, attorneys, surveyors, engineers, title reports, and appraisal costs in negotiating and preparing the agreement and fulfilling its obligations under the RFP and this agreement. That amount was $35,000 that we put in escrow for any fees.
so did you get a receipt back or anything from Dr. Kelly when you originally sent it for the $350 for the site plan review?
What?
Did you when you submitted?
No,
you said
there was no
she-
submittal. That was just a proposed site plan. Now we would be
Okay.
responsible for that $350 once he does
All
it. But we don't pay, we have already gave $35,000 to the city that they're holding in escrow for such expenses, including closing
Yeah.
costs. And if
Right.
there's, we're hoping it's the $25,000. The closing shouldn't cost more than $5,000 on a $25,000 dollar piece of property. So you have another $10,000 there that's, basically for any of these fees that pop up.
Okay.
So, and at closing, they'll give us an itemized list on the settlement statement that'll say, $350 for site plan review, $1,200 for advertise. That should be all line items.
Can I add something too that was just sent to me? And this wasn't sent to me, but the rezone is 350. The site plan review is 500.
Yeah.
I misspoke.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
But one of the questions was from Central Florida Regional Planning Council is they're not sure they can review a site plan prior to the PUD approval, which makes sense to me. So
Correct.
I think we have to have the PUD approval first before we start the site plan review.
Yeah, I mean, I gave you the site
Yeah,
plan.
so it looks, I mean, the way we're all going around it here is we're getting ready to get the approval and we're moving along. And
Correct.
whether what should have been done in the past, we're at right now, whether we approved it in the past or not, but we are where we're supposed to be right now.
Correct.
And that's kind of
And
what I
as soon
wanted
as
to get
we
to.
get the approval tonight, I'm going to shoot over an application for the rezoning.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the update? Seeing none? Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, consent agenda, we have items 6 through 9. Does any council member wish to remove any of these 4 items?
C6 for just a small change.
Okay. C7 through 9. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve 7 through 9 on the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right, item number 6, minutes from February 23rd. You had a change?
Yep. On page 5 under public participation, Mayor Bernard made the motion and it was Council Member Bernice Taylor that seconded rather than myself on page 5.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that was all I had.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
We have a motion to approve the minutes for February 23rd. Do we have a second?
second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 10, we have a public hearing, second and final reading of ordinance 25-2025.
Ordinance of the City of Avon Park, Florida, amending the future land use element of the City of Avon Park Comprehensive Plan, specifically amending policy 1.6 pertaining to the city's downtown commercial future land use category, providing clarity on permissible uses and allowing for residential density up to 40 dwelling units per acre for multifamily developments, providing for transmission to Florida Commerce for review and compliance, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Stephanie Von Pileski Bush with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and if you pop to the next slide. So this is the items we've all been talking about. Now, since this is second reading, I can go through them all, or I don't know. It's up to you if you want me to.
Sure.
What, just if anybody has any questions, since
Have any
it's already been
questions?
brought up.
I don't have any questions then.
So we're making changes to your comprehensive plan and to your land development code. So there's, and then if you go to the next slide, so we're gonna take out some items and then add some items into your code. This is your land development code. So it, as you can see there in very small writing, it permits above ground floor apartments in your generally your downtown area. And then on the next slide, and then it takes out the PUD designation, but then it adds in at the bottom there. So residential densities greater than 16 units per acre require a zoning of PUD. So it allows up to 16. And then on the next slide.
So on that slide that we just passed there, there's obviously there's an asterisk there for the minimum floor area for the units. But isn't it true that you would typically go back to the minimum of 800 square feet per unit for apartments and the PUD, or would there be?
Well, since it's a PUD, that's flexible. So if it depends on what, I mean, if they're asking for 200 square feet, obviously that's not reasonable. But, if it's, that's part of the PUD that makes it flexible.
Is there some other standard of living or anything that has a minimum besides just our comp plan? Is there anything like a state or a national standard or anything like that? So it's whatever we set.
Right.
So a future council could, in theory, set a 400 square foot.
Sure.
I see. And there's no way for us to give that a floor.
No, I mean, you could certainly make that change right now.
Okay. Please continue.
Let's see. So on this slide, it just further refines the language in your land development code now. So it does say, so as far as the minimum site area, there's no minimum size for the property because before there was a fairly large size that was required. So, for downtown, obviously, you're not going to have 5 acres, most likely. So that's what that section 7.0403 does. And then the next slide is really just your motion options for the proposed future land use amendment. And then on the next slide are your motion options for the land development code change.
Okay. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Can I ask one question real quick before somebody makes a motion? So could anybody, prior to this being in place, could someone have already come before us and requested a PUD to have more dwelling units?
Let's see. So no, the maximum at the time or now, I mean, before you vote on this, is 16 units per. Well, no, it was 4 units per acre. Right. And so now it's up to 16. So
it wasn't a special variance process where we could go above that if it was a PUD or.
No, because the future land use still
existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from what I understand, if someone was to apply for something that, if they were denied or wasn't able to be even applied for, that information wasn't necessarily captured. So I know that there has been some things that you guys have brought to us that, hey, we're getting a lot of requests for this, but we can't do it. I would just formally ask that if the council's okay with it, that we capture that information so we at least have a record of, we got 5 requests for something that we couldn't do this past year. Is that way we at least know which direction the people want to go, and we can kind of start making these changes going forward.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
we do kind of try to do that actually, like a couple years ago with the containers, the cargo containers, and the farmers markets and that sort of thing. So because there were several requests for those items. So
Understood.
So with the up to 40 dwelling units, there's no dimensions for anything as far as the lot size. So you could literally put 40 dwelling units on.
It's per acre.
Per acre.
Right, but there's no lot size requirements. It removes that, correct?
Let's see. Wait, I'm sorry. Which section are you in?
I thought I read in there that it said it removed any of the lot size requirements.
Oh, okay, right. So yeah, maximum density for single family residential, and then to support additional opportunities for multifamily housing in the downtown core of the city, the downtown commercial designation may allow densities up to 40 units per acre. Densities greater than 16 dwelling units shall require a PUD. So at that point, we would, I mean, we or the planning board and you can have more say in the lot sizes.
So up to 16, it could be on any size, but then if they go up to the 40, then we would have more of a say as far in the PUD process.
So yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
greater than 16. But they still need, so Ms. Pipel still needs a PUD to get, because that's the way that this is set up now, is to have a PUD. And then that allows more flexibility for the lot sizes and the building sizes and the height and all that. So, but it still has to go through the process. So, it's not just a free-for-all. I mean, there's still, it still has to be approved.
And then we have a height restriction, do we not? Is it 2 stories?
It was 3 stories. Now it's been raised to 5, I believe.
Right.
With the addition of our shiny new fire truck.
I think you had talked about it, but since the truck's not here yet, I believe it was capped at 35 feet, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Until the truck arrives, and then it was going to come back for revision and for your basically your blessing.
And that's not expected until 27, I believe, right?
I believe that's the last I heard the chief say, 2027.
So even a really tiny, so I guess kind of with your point as far as setting a minimum square feet per actual, per unit, because some of the lots on Main Street are teensy tiny, and if they came to us trying to put 40 units on a teensy tiny piece of property, like what would that look like, I guess is my question.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, they'd still have to go through the PUD process, which is why it was set up this way. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. But, I mean, I guess the only way they could do that is if they built a really tall building. And,
Right.
So.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none?
Isn't this a public hearing where we have to?
It is a public hearing. Public hearing for ordinance 25-2025 is open. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue can now do so. Don't all flood the podium at once. Yes, sir. We have one speaker. Please give your name and address to the record.
Thank you. Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East here in Avon Park. I just am looking forward to you all approving this tonight and getting things moving. I know the community is very anxious to see this project move forward, and I think it's been kind of long enough, kind of feels like we've drug our feet. I know there's benchmarks that have to be met, and I'm encouraged to hear that we're moving smartly in that direction this evening. So I look forward to you passing this evening and all the other associated ordinances that need to be passed so we can get going. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Just give your name and address for the record, please.
Sarah Pipel, 100 East Main Street. I just want to assure you we're not going to be building, 250 square feet, little tiny apartments. It's strictly 8 apartments, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, anywhere between 975 and 1,100 square feet. So that's
Right.
your standard 2 bedroom, 2 bath. We're not going to pile them up.
Right, and my comment was not specifically to your project.
No,
'cause
I
you
just
were-
want
'cause
you
only
to
had,
rest
You only
assured.
had 8 in your plan. My consideration was future, if there was a future lot, on Main Street, and if they can put up to 40 on this, you asked for 8, but
Yeah.
what if they asked for 40?
No, I understand that, but I just want you to rest assured. And also, if somebody it's still, it's 40 on an acre. So, I mean, I don't think county code allows anything smaller than what on studio apartments. What is it?
Well, that's what we were asking.
Yeah, I
before
think
this
it's
was-
like for a studio, you can't go below, I think 500. I'm not 100% sure, but that's on a studio. I think 1 bedroom is 650, 2 bedrooms is 9. But don't hold me to it. But it's around that. There is. I mean, who wants 40 apartments at 300 square feet apiece? I mean,
Right.
that's not what anybody, I don't think, wants.
Hopefully not.
So, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on ordinance 25-2025? Seeing none, public hearing for ordinance 25-2025 is now closed. Be looking for a motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Let's call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard? Yes. Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 11, we have the public hearing and second and final reading for ordinance 26-2025.
It's an ordinance of the City of Avon Park, Florida, amending the Avon Park Unified Land Development Code, specifically amending Article 2, Table 2.04.01A, providing clarity on permissible uses in the C4 mixed-use zoning district, and amending Table 2.04.01B, increasing the maximum residential density for multifamily residential in the C4 mixed-use zoning district from 4 dwelling units per acre to 16 dwelling units per acre, including the opportunity to seek residential densities greater than 16 dwelling units per acre for multifamily developments, and amending Article 7, Section 7.04.01, removing the mixed use and large scale from the intent and the purpose of planned unit developments, and amending Section 7.04.03, acknowledging no minimum size requirement for property zone planned unit development, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
All right, public hearing for ordinance 26-2025 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue can now do so. Seeing no speakers, public hearing for ordinance 26-2025 is now closed. We'll be looking for a motion. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard? Yes. Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Thank you. Item number 12, we have another public hearing, second and final reading of ordinance 02-2026.
It's an ordinance of the City of Avon Park amending the future land use map of the City of Avon Park, Florida, specifically amending one parcel of land comprised of plus or minus 0.34 acres on property located at 910 South Verona Avenue, Avon Park, from a future land use of industrial to medium-density residential, transmitting said amendment to Florida Commerce for notification purposes only, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
All right. Again, Stephanie Von Pileski Bush with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. This is, again, the second reading for this future land use and rezoning. This is a Rebuild Florida situation. Mrs. Quintella Brown's house was destroyed during Hurricane Ian. It's located at 910 South Verona, and then, but unfortunately, the zoning and future land use were both don't permit residential units. So on the next slide, you can see the current future land use is industrial, and the current zoning is I-1, neither one of which permits residential uses. And then, so this is on the next slide. If you click one more. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. Oh, I skipped one on my page here. So the proposed future land use and zoning, so we're proposing medium density residential and R2 medium density single family. And then on the next slide, so it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and that, you know, there is some residential around there, even though it's the future land use is not residential, but there are residential units to the south and then east. And then the property was had a house, has a house on it, so no additional water or sewer will be used, and then no additional impacts for schools or recreation will be required. And then on the next slide, so again, the current future land use and zoning are industrial, and the proposed is medium density residential and R2. The surrounding land use and zoning is industrial, fluid zoning to the north, and then downtown commercial to the east. But the surrounding existing uses, so there is, as I said, industrial to the north and single family and multifamily to the south and east. And then the next slide shows, so the subject property of the house there, right in the middle of the slide. And then there is some storage and oil warehouse and storage to the, that's north, to the north. And then to the south is a multifamily complex. And then, and then there's other residential across the street and sort of surrounding the area. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve this project at their February 10th meeting. And then you've got your motion options. I can answer questions if you have any. Again, this is the second reading for this.
Sure. Do we have any questions at this point?
No.
Seeing none, we have the public hearing for ordinance 2-2026 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue can now do so. Seeing no speakers, the public hearing for ordinance 2-2026 is now closed. We'll be looking for a motion.
A second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard? Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 13, this will be a public hearing, second and final reading of ordinance 3-2026, the accompanying zoning map amendment.
An ordinance of the City of Avon Park amending the official zoning map of the City of Avon Park, Florida, specifically amending one parcel of land comprising of plus or minus 0.34 acres on property located at 910 South Verona Avenue, Avon Park, from a zoning of I-1 light industry to R2 medium density, single family attached and duplex, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
All right, public hearing for ordinance 3-2026 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue can now do so. Seeing no speakers, public hearing for ordinance 3-2026 is now closed. We'll be looking for a motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard? Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 14, this will be resolution 2026-09.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Avon Park, Highlands County, Florida, amending the budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 to revising the Avon Park Airport Fund estimated revenues and expenditures to the amount of $7,001,160, providing for an effective date.
All right, we have the Avon Park Executive Airport budget amendment here. Is this going to be Ms. Phillips or Jason?
Ms. Phillips.
Your time to shine.
Okay. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. So originally we did do a small budget for $216,000, which covered our obligations towards the airport while it was operated by FAM. After we had taken the airport back, we have incurred some repairs and other obligations that we're required to maintain the airport. After review and projected revenues that we could potentially receive from our tenants, we are recommending an increase of the budget to actually $1,001,160. $6 million is actually going to be grant funds that will be reimbursed to the airport. With that, we are requesting an increase from general fund contributions from $89,500 to $311,370. Due to this increase, there's a few large expenditures that have happened at the airport, including legal fees regarding the FAM situation. We also had some major repairs that need to be done to our fuel tanks and our equipment, as well as some building repairs that were neglected.
Okay, any questions on this budget?
I just have one. Is the reason for the discrepancy between the actual fuel sale revenues that we're anticipating getting and then the expenses for the fuel sales, because we're actually expending more than we're supposed to be getting in our revenue, is that due to those things that we had to fix and all that kind of good stuff, or is that what we're anticipating going forward? Or
Do you have an older version, or because the newer version, it's the revenue is 140 for aviation, and we were let me see, fuel sales 140 and 183.
for the revenue,
That should have
correct?
been. I'm sorry, it's on there, but there should be. How we based our revenue was, it was off the percentage of what our average gross is. It's like if we just say our markup is, I think it's 28 and 32%. Is that?
Yes.
So whatever that markup, that whether we bought more or we bought less, it was a supply, like it's demand. So whatever that rate was, that's what we ultimately were supposed to project. That's could have swore it was a different number, but it was supposed to be that percentage higher. So if we bought it for 160, it'd be plus 28%. We bought the other for 160, it'd be plus 32%. It was supposed to.
The one I'm looking at, it says under expenses, aviation 160, under jet 160, but then under revenues, it says only 140 for aviation and 183 for jet fuel.
Yeah, no, it should have been higher than that. But that's what we're seeing. We had our Excel. We went in, worked our numbers to see where we are as far as like is the fuel truck worth having the fuel truck on site? How much more is it going to pay for itself? So the jet fuel, on many occasions, in order to sell the jet fuel, you need to have someone operating the truck. So everything that we looked at as far as our revenue base so far, it justifies it. So we fully expect to surpass our fuel sales for what we're buying for how much we're selling. So I mean, we're gonna sell at a higher get more revenue than what we buy.
So what was the percentage, did you say?
I think it's 28 and 32, I think, when we looked at it. It's our markup. Because it varies depending on whether we drive out there, self-serve and full-serve. For instance, I think it's 60, I want to say it's a 62-cent difference for avgas versus self versus full. Do you have that spreadsheet on you at all?
I don't have it on me, no.
So there was markup, and then the jet fuel's a higher markup if we go out there and deliver the fuel. So, but it all depends on quantity, and decide to get. So this last month we had a higher run on jet fuel because was it jetted? The Air Force was out fueling, so that was helped us boost. So we're saying it. I mean, at the baseline, we're looking at purchasing 160. We're looking at that for the year, but we will end up being on our revenues should be 28 to 32% higher, maybe a little bit less because we will have assets in the tank. So the tank, there will be fuel in there that we bought that we haven't sold yet, but it's an asset, and those are 12,000 gallon tanks. So there may be $25,000 to $30,000 in assets in each tank, not including the actual trucks themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the 140, so 28% added to the 160 is like 204. So you're saying the revenue for the aviation should be 204 versus the 140?
Yeah, it should be higher. And I when I sent over I think when I sent you all over a breakdown in the report, the monthly report I think it would have had that number in it. But we would be it'd be impossible to make less unless you just.
Well, that's why. That's why it was a red flag when I was looking at it. How are we going to lose money on fuel sales?
And last time I looked at it, it looked different than that. But
Only if it's disappearing, right?
no.
So then that would decrease the amount that we would have to pull from general
Yes.
fund. And if it's because you're talking about at the 28%, that's another 65,000.
The more fuel we sell, the better we are because we're making revenue every time we go out there. We're not losing money unless there's for some reason we go out and buy it at a very high rate, and then. But even if we buy it at a high rate, we still adjust our fuel sales pricing. We're able to go in and other airports, we mimic what the other airports are at, and that's kind of how we set our baseline, not necessarily just us, what we purchase it at. So we always strive to be the lowest, but within a very small margin. So just an example.
So if it was 65,000 additional for the aviation fuel, and then it would be an additional like 25-ish for the jet fuel. So you're talking about, between 80 and 90 additional revenues that we would not be taking out of the general fund.
Yeah, and it's you're putting the money's there, but we may not spend that all, and it can go we don't have to take it from the general fund. Then you just you're budgeting it, but it can go it can be in the general fund.
And then as far as our claim on FAM's insurance, all of those costs have not been factored in as revenue. Those would come off after the fact if we're awarded
Correct,
that.
because we're still working with the bond company, and Lowell's working with them. He's taking the lead. It's not guaranteed yet, but because they're fighting because they don't want to pay the bond, but they're just working how much. What can they do? But our numbers so far, of what it's cost us, is far exceeds the bond. What we'll be able to recover afterwards, we'll have to see where we are just to make sure we don't get in a bind with attorney's fees of money that we may never receive. But that doesn't mean that we're just not going to do it. Just how do we go about doing that? But
So how
the
much
182, I think that's just 182.4, I think was the number that I had in here on the bond amount.
That's correct.
So that's what the bond is worth, correct?
Oh,
the
yes.
182.4. And then we've already incurred the ones that you have in here, the legal fees of the 80, the fuel tanks of the 26, equipment 8, building repairs 8.
Yes, we had to get it up and running. The fuel, we had to fix the fuel because the issues that we all knew about with the fuel. And the inspections, get that right. The building, the back door wasn't operable. It didn't close, so all the AC would go out, and you had to manually do it. So those costs, we had to, get the building functional again.
Right.
So.
We got a gentleman who wants to make a comment. He's been waiting patiently. Just give your name and address for the record.
Eric 72990 North Lowell Road. The advisory board, we brought up the same issue that you did. They said the 160 was, I guess, from years past, is what they had expensed. But you guys worked it out. The more fuel that you guys sell, the less we'll be able to take out of the general funds. So we're hoping to, of course, sell all we can on that. So that's all I want to comment on.
Okay.
I just have one question for Jason. Do you know how long it usually takes for the insurance, the bond company to pay out what we've made a claim for?
I don't know, Jerry. Maybe do you know? I know it's been a challenge we've presented, and then like, can you give us more information? So we provided them more information, but there is somewhat of a hesitation getting some of the information from FAM and just how they're operating right now, which is almost non-existent. It's been a challenge.
Yeah, hesitation is a tactful word, and that's about all I can say. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we're pursuing it.
Hopefully it is. I really do not want to get to the point where we will evaluate how much we're spending going along, but I'm not going to allow just keep going, beating up the same issue over and over to figure out what we can do so the bond company does pay the money over. But it kind of where it lied with and somewhat with the bond company, what I've seen is just how we went about taking the airport back over and how the timelines of that's been somewhat of the struggle in the process. Like, well, you didn't give them that much notice, or hey, you failed to, that's kind of been the back and forth.
Understood. Anything else on resolution number 2026-09? Any other speakers? Seeing none, you're looking for a motion? Motion to approve resolution number 2026-09. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard? Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 15, we have a subrecipient agreement, MSO14, for sanitary sewer collection system hardening project. Mr. King.
On a very positive note.
You like those?
All right. Good evening, Council. What you got before you here is this execution of this subrecipient agreement for these funds. We're talking about $22.2 million to help rehabilitate a lot of your gravity sewer system here. About 68% is what we'll be able to inspect with the funds from then, and then repair quite a bit. This is awarded from the Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery Fund through the Department of Commerce is who's handling that up at the state level. Put together just a brief slide here to kind of explain everything is going to take place, because a lot of people see that 22.2 million, that headline, and they think, what can we spend that money on? Okay. It has to go towards rehabilitating these sewers from this storm damage. So the first major step is going to be the gravity sewer televised inspection. You've probably seen this stuff, Dirty Jobs. If you watch that show, Mike Rowe, they get out there with cameras, put robots in there, and go look and inspect the sewers. I can tell you that about 80% of your sewer here some of it's unknown. A lot of it, the majority of it is clay terracotta, very old, and very prone to infiltration, as we'll get to in just a minute. But once we do this gravity televised camera inspection, we'll have some experts look at it. They'll do like a risk matrix. We'll determine where the big problems we've got to fix, where we can do some point repairs, maybe even actually do some full-on replacements. And then I'm hoping that a bunch of it will be just relines, which will extend the life of that piping for another 50, 60 years. So they basically go in there and put an epoxy inside, and it's like brand new pipe. That clay terracotta, it's excellent pipe, but it is prone to cracking. And then the joints is where it actually fails. But most of that stuff's it's not prone to corrosion. It's the concrete joints that are the problem. The next step that's going to happen in that scope is that main lining, like we just talked about. This will prevent that groundwater intrusion. Manhole lining, rehabilitation. of all your manholes. You got a lot of brick, old, which is typical manholes in town. All those concrete joints are gone. So you got a bunch of bricks stacked up, and when the groundwater comes up, that water just pours in like an artesian well. All that water runs to the sewer plant, and we end up treating it. Those point repairs, this addresses structural defects. There's going to be places when we put that robot in there where these clay joints are misaligned. The robot may not even be able to go through there, or there's even cracks where for years it was a acceptable practice of plumbers to do what they call a knock-in. So when they went and put your home online back in the 60s or 70s, instead of coring that pipe and doing it properly, they used a hammer, knocked a good hole in it, stuck some PVC in it, call it a day. All right? We're going to find a bunch of that. So those will be the point repairs that we'll have to do. You can go ahead to the next slide. Why I&I? So this reduces sewer overflows, protects your treatment capacity. One thing a lot of folks don't know is that when your plant gets up to 60%, it triggers. There's some laws in place that you've got to come up with a plan to build that plant out. So the longer you can prolong that and save that capital by making sure all these what I call low-hanging fruit is taken care of, the longer you can extend the life of that treatment plant. Lower operating costs when you're pumping and treating rainwater. That's pumps running. That's energy. That's where all those cost savings come in. Extending the infrastructure life. So we got some pipes that are probably close to 100 years old, probably in some places, that we're going to extend for another 50 or 60 years. Improves the system reliability during heavy rain events. So that's when we have the big problems, that inflow. You got manholes out there that don't have infiltration basins in them, and they act like storm drains in a lot of places. That stormwater will run right into the system, like Milton, which is what we got this funding for. I talked to the operator out there. He said here that the flows for several days were 25% up, with higher spikes than that. That's a lot of rainwater and groundwater coming into the system. All right, next slide. This basically explains to you here what they are. Infiltration, that clay terracotta pipe, trees. You plant trees on the right of ways. They can find those nutrients inside those pipes. They can crack them, break them. We got the plumbers that 60s and 70s are sins of our fathers, as I'd like to say. They're out there with hammers making taps. All that's contributing to infiltration. Inflow, just like I said, it's coming in from manholes and stuff. We'll be able to reseal these manholes, put inflow basins in all of them, and prevent that stuff from happening. Here's your guy doing a camera inspection. That's typical of what you'll see. That's a good one, actually, for a clay terracotta pipe there. You got a little bit of offset in the joints, crack down the top. That's just from settling, 80 plus years of pipe. Heavy road areas like, under major highways, there's going to be places the sewer is going through it, but the robot won't make it because the joints are so offset. They're that bad of shape.
May I ask a question? I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask you a question about
Absolutely.
this. The robot is the little the cable. Is it the cable, or is it actually the whole machine that goes down in there?
It's a robot. So what you see right there at the base of that cable is it's ROV. It's a robotic vehicle that's going to go into that line. It's got little wheels on it. We'll clean that line initially, and then that robot will go in and inspect it. And there's actually on the slide I was going to give you earlier today, Miss Melissa. We've done some camera inspections already, but it'll go in and take footage of the inside of that pipe and show you all the cracks, point out all the joints, show you where all those repairs are. It also allows us to map all the laterals. We have not a complete inventory of sewer laterals in town, but this will help us get there because we'll be able to see all that with that robot.
So there's no way the robot could get in there in a clogged area and compromise the pipe, the terracotta pipe. It couldn't crack it, right? It's not that big.
The robot, no. Sometimes cleaning, you guys got to be careful. It's an art form when you clean these pipes and when you inspect them. Yeah, if people get out there and get wild with a vac truck, yeah, they can damage clay terracotta. I've seen them just keep feeding hose, and then it pops up. You've probably seen this too. It pops up in the center of the road. Surprise! There's the hose. That happens. But we're going to clean this pipe, inspect it with these robots. We're going to find all the problems and fix them. That's the goal. But yes, doing nothing is it's kind of a risk. You got to weigh it out. Doing nothing is not an option. We've got to take that risk, clean them, inspect them. This is some of those roots that like to find their way into that clay terracotta, and you can kind of see that epoxy lining there. What they do, they've got that stuff. It used to be like a fiberglass resin way back, and now they've got it to where they can actually cure that with like ultraviolet. That's the new thing. So they'll put that liner in there, take it out of a chilled truck, put it in there, and then cure it with ultraviolet, and that stuff's ready to be put back into service. This is a example of a point repair here. You can see the clay terracotta there to the left of the screen, where they went in and done a boot. Looks like we had a failed service here. Probably one of those knock-in plumbers where they hammered a hole in there, and then they've actually come in and reestablished the service with PVC, and then booted it with an adapter right back up to the existing clay terracotta. Now, when they do something like this, if they are relining that section, they can actually. They've got the technology now to where they can line right through these sections, because there's going to be spot repairs already out there that folks have done. It's possible to reline through these and recut those cleanouts. Manhole lining. So this is kind of further along in the process here. You can see they've already put on the concrete layer, and now they're spraying on an epoxy coating. What happens is those bricks, they're still intact. It's that concrete. There's H2S gas inside that's just naturally occurring in sewer systems. Is that rotten egg odor? That eats concrete. It's pretty corrosive. So over several years, that's what happens. But they reestablish it with some concrete, put an epoxy liner, prevents those gases from getting in there and damaging those. And this will extend those manholes. You'll take some manholes that are over 100 years old. They'll come in, put that concrete in there, spray it, line it, and that thing will last another 50, 60 years. It's structural also. It makes it tough. And there you go. That's the estimated project completion date of April 30th, 2029 to have this all wrapped up. And it's a blessing that this is came to the city, because there's actually a requirement now by law. Cities, municipalities, they've got to survey 25% of their sewer system with an engineer every 5 years. So this is going to put y'all well above the curve by doing this. And like I said, it's a huge blessing for your town. A lot of communities have looked at this that 25% rule, and they're trying to figure out how they're gonna meet that. So that 22.2 is going to go a long way. And just to let you know that the areas of town that we're targeting, it's pretty much going to be the core here. The oldest portions of the town. You think about when your homes was built. If your home was built in the 30s, pretty good chance that we're going to be in your neighborhood rehabbing the sewer. And I'll take any questions from council or from general public.
Any questions? Seeing none. Mr. King, we appreciate it very much.
All right, y'all bear with us through the process, though. There'll be some minor inconveniences, but we'll let you know when we're in your neighborhood.
We trust you.
All right.
All right, make a motion to accept the subreceipt agreement, MSO 14, for sanitary sewer collection system hardening project. Do we have a second? We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure? Deputy Mayor Bernard? Yes. Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
I just have a question on that, Mr. King. How are you going to let the residents know when you're in their area?
Yeah.
I mean,
so
is it going to be a flyer? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Is it going to be a flyer? Are we going to put something in the newspaper? I know we have it on the city website. I'm sure we will, but
probably a lot of all of the above, but
Okay.
primarily the app. Y'all have an app here that's very cool. That's how we've been able to target when we've had localized boil water notices to go out as of recent. So I'd encourage everybody to subscribe to the City of Charm app, and it'll be on the city website. And then, of course, we'll also communicate with the news, but immediately to know when they're in your neighborhood as we're working through this, because it's going to take a while to do all this. It'll be coming through that app.
Okay, thank
Uh-huh.
you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Do we have any staff updates or attorney updates?
Yeah, I was asked to put together something on the legislation. Do you want that now, or
Why not?
just a highlight, or do you want the whole shebang?
Highlight unless we have deeper questions.
Okay. So the biggest issues are first the proposal to get rid of property taxes. It's going to be a huge hit for cities, counties, and districts. The House has passed a version of that to phase out all non-school ad valorem property taxes on homestead properties. It's for a constitutional amendment to be before the voters on November 26th. They sent it to the Senate. The Senate is not there yet. They're wanting to proceed slowly and get it right, according to the Senate president. And they may have their own proposal. And that's where that stands. The last that I saw, I checked it this morning.
And Mr. Greenway, if you have anything to add, please feel free.
Another huge issue is the provision of municipal utility services to owners outside the municipal limits. That's Senate Bill 1014. It would prohibit municipal water and wastewater utilities from declining to extend water and wastewater service to property outside the corresponding municipality's corporate limits solely based on the owner of the property's refusal to allow the property to be annexed into the municipality. So what they're basically saying is you can't force somebody to annex into your city as in exchange for water or sewer. Really bad bill, in my opinion. And you must extend service outside there are obviously limitations and so on, but they're not really adequate, in my opinion. Then there's House Bill 225, requires certain municipalities to impose the same utility rates, fees, and charges on consumers within its municipal boundaries. Boundaries of recipient municipalities prohibits such municipalities from imposing surcharges on consumers within the boundaries of recipient municipality unless certain conditions are met. I'm not going to say that this is the reason why this happened, but last year this bill regarding not being able to charge the surcharge outside the city limits was before the legislature. I wrote a letter extensively to the Florida League of Cities explaining why that was a really bad idea and very unfair to residents of the city that's going to have to then sponsor any circumstances whereby they don't they have to use general funds in order to make ends meet. So I said that's probably going to lead, and I said I would certainly recommend that cities not annex, not serve anybody that they weren't capable of annexing in within 1 or 2 years. And so all of a sudden, then Senate Bill 1014 shows up, which basically says you have no choice but to do so. I hope that's not because of the letter I wrote. I know that they used it, and the Florida League of Cities said that they liked the letter. But at any rate, that's where it stands right now. No telling whether these will go forward. But I would simply say that it seems very certain that something's going to happen to property taxes this year, and it's probably going to be on the ballot for November, as opposed to something that they jam down their throat. But that remains to be seen. They're not adverse to jamming things down your throat. A few other bills. House Bill 1451 bill requires certain public means as a condition precedent to effectiveness of new or extended agreements for utility services in other municipalities or unincorporated areas. It also mandates utilities to report specific information to the Public Service Commission and requires the PSC to compile and submit this information to the governor. Senate Bill 1420 prohibits counties and municipalities from transferring for specific purposes revenues collected for providing utility services. This is to keep people from making a lot of money in utilities and then supporting other areas of the city. They want it basically to be standalone. And that's been floating out there for a while, a few years, and it's finally come to a head. We'll see what happens to it. Senate Bill 1724, requiring that a new agreement or extension, renewal, or material amendment to an existing agreement to provide certain utility services at retail be in writing, requiring certain public meetings be held as a condition precedent to effectiveness of the new or extended agreement. We always do ours in writing, but there are a lot of cities that basically that don't. Municipal water and sewer utility rates. This is deleting a limitation on amount of rates, fees, and charges municipal water and sewer utilities are authorized to impose on consumers for services outside the boundaries. Requiring municipalities to operate in such utilities to submit a specified rate study every 7 years to the DEP, which evaluates certain information. Let's see. I'll skip that one. Local government enforcement actions establishes a new exclusive mechanism for challenging enforcement actions. As the bill defines that term taken by counties and municipalities to accomplish the purpose of the bill prohibits counties and municipalities from initiating or threatening to initiate any enforcement action that is determined by a court to be arbitrary or unreasonable and not authorized by an ordinance. Authorizes a person subject to an enforcement action to submit a request for review of such action and specifies procedures and timelines that pertaining thereto. Authorizes a person subject to enforcement action to challenge such action in court in specified circumstances. Provides protection under Whistleblowers Act to certain persons who disclose information in connection with proceedings established by the bill. Provides that sections of law created by the bill are sole authority for challenges to arbitrary and unreasonable enforcement actions. And then obviously any ordinances that say something else are invalid. That's a challenge towards code enforcement. Some other areas, local business taxes. It maintains local business taxes as they are, but maintains the authority for municipalities that currently impose local business taxes measured by gross receipts to continue such levies. But municipalities that levy such taxes will be allowed to revise by definition the term merchant, but will not be allowed to revise the tax rate. This House Bill 145 increases the caps on recovery of rewards against a government entity being sued for a claim that accrues between October 2026 and September 30th, 2031 at a cap to increase to $500,000 per person from $200,000 and a cap for multiple claims and judgments arising out of the same incident to increase to $1 million from $300,000. For claims accruing after October 1st, 2031, the limits will be raised to $600,000 and $1,200,000 respectively. And they're talking about the sovereign immunity limitations that you currently enjoy now. This is not a good thing. Don't know what else to say. Senate Bill 504 requires governmental entities that permit code inspectors to wear body cameras to establish certain policies and procedures addressing the proper use, maintenance, and storage of body cameras and the data recorded by such body cameras. The bill also requires government entities to permit code inspectors to wear body cameras to provide training for those individuals. And then Senate Bill 506 is kind of goes along with it. It says it creates a public records exemption to provide that code inspectors' body camera recordings or portion thereof is confidential and exempt from public disclosure requirements if the recording is taken with the interior of a private residence. Is taken. There's a list of places that would create that issue. Or I know you guys don't use them now, but if you ever decide to. And I think that they're probably working, it looks to me like they're trying to work towards requiring them at some point. Official actions of local government. This Senate Bill 1134 prohibits counties and municipalities from funding, promoting, or taking official actions such as adopting ordinances, resolutions, rules, regulations, programs, or policies related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, It also prohibits a county or municipality from expending any funds, regardless of the source, to establish, support, sustain, or staff DEI officer. The bill provides that a member of the county or municipal governing body acting in his or her official capacity who violates the prohibitions commits a misfeasance or malfeasance in office. It also prohibits counties and municipalities from allowing their funds to be used by employees, contractors, or others to promote DEI initiatives. And that's just a summary of what I found. There's obviously hundreds of bills out there. I couldn't summarize them all.
Yes, sir.
For the record, Adam Greenway, 318 Sunset Road in Frostproof, and member of the Frostproof City Council, as was mentioned by the mayor earlier.
Welcome.
Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you, Mr. Attorney, for your insights as well. Particularly on the sovereign immunity caps bill, the House bill has language that basically allows there to be negotiations outside the sovereign immunity caps, which effectually means there's not a true cap at that point if they can be negotiated outside of that. And I think what I would want to share just as a fellow elected, up your sister city to the north, is the importance of communicating on behalf of your city to your delegation in this season about what matters to you. House Speaker Danny Perez of Miami said today publicly what we've all known for some time, and that is they are not going to have a budget on time. So you're looking at either an extended session or a special session to do a budget. We know what happened last year where a 60-day session became a 105-day session to get a budget done. You know as well as anyone the challenges with municipal finance. There are 4 unrestricted buckets that cities have the chance to draw from to put together your fiscal picture. Ad valorem taxes, local business taxes, municipal utility taxes, and commercial service taxes. And almost every unrestricted revenue source is under attack right now in the legislature. And the feedback has been from our friends in Tallahassee, 2 things. One, they'll try to backfill in the budgets where they can to help in this season, but eventually, quote, we'll just have to figure it out. I think it was the late Cowboys great Dandy Don Meredith who once said, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? It's easy to say, just figure it out, but constitutionally, cities do not have discretionary powers in terms of creating new revenue sources. There are limitations upon what can be done. And there is, I believe, an intentional shift of wanting to create greater dependence upon Tallahassee for appropriations to do things that might otherwise be generated with locally sourced revenues. And we already in this state have what are called fiscally constrained counties. Highlands County is one of those. Hardee County is one. DeSoto County is one. Polk County is not. But where the state already has to backfill in terms of providing funds to meet the obligations because there's not enough revenue produced within to fund those obligations. If some of these more extreme proposals pass, there'll be 67 fiscally constrained counties. And what will happen, there already is the challenge of the appropriation process where we all go hand in hand. I've been up in Tallahassee twice this year with our county delegation and with Florida League of Cities Legislative Action Days, making arguments for our needs in our city, along with other municipal elected leaders from across our state. We try to do these things together because cities share so much in common. And when we're at our best, we find ways to collaborate rather than to compete. But if we have a finite pool of funds and we all have to go begging to Tallahassee, it creates unhealthy competition between cities. And that's an unfortunate byproduct of what is happening, I believe, with, in many ways, an undoing of what was instantiated in the Constitution in '68 with home rule. And all that's happened since that time seems to be trying to undermine that. So, if anything, I appreciate your attorney's summary. There are so many things going on, and because we're going to have an overtime where a lot of interesting things can happen in overtime as there's horse trading between the House and the Senate and trying to get to things. The governor, of course, wants something on the ballot. Now is the time to communicate with our representatives and senators in Tallahassee your concerns. Your city, like my city, we're members of the Ridge League of Cities. The Ridge League is an important fellowship of municipal elected officials, city managers, and others. The Ridge League dinner is this week in Bartow. I hope that some of you would be a part of that. And the Florida League of Cities is doing yeoman's work in trying to make sure we all have information and resourcing to know what's going on and how to focus in on these issues. And as a fellow elected, I hope that we can all work together in this season, because truly, as Franklin once said, if we don't hang together, we're all going to hang separately. And I think this is a time where we need increased collaboration across our cities, because these issues affect all of us. And so thank you for the honor of being able to give the invocation tonight, but also to bring a word. Thank you for what you do. And on a personal note, my late uncle, Doug Eason, sat on this council for a number of years and served honorably here. And it is a joy to be able to speak in the chamber where my late uncle so faithfully served. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenway.
All right.
Very well spoken. Good comments, yeah. And what he basically said, I skipped this, has been our time, is the bill permits subdivision of the state to settle a claim or judgment in excess of the caps without requiring a subdivision to seek further action by the legislature. That's new. The bill prohibits insurance policies beginning October 26 from conditioning the payment of benefits on the coverage of liability on the enactment of a claim bill. The bill also revises certain statute of limitation and pre-suit procedures for certain types of claims against the government entities. So they're making it easier to sue you, as well as the amount that they sue you for. It's very troubling. That's so if you want to say something, it's House Bill 145. That's a very important one. I'd say Senate Bill 1014. I won't give you my worst thought on that, but it really is troubling. Very troubling. House Bill 225, as you mentioned, that's a huge issue. You basically cover a lot of that in bonds, and sometimes you have to come out of pocket with general funds, which the people outside the city limits don't have to pay. And so this is just these are very troubling to me. I wonder at what point does this become like a violation of the Constitution of 1968 for Florida, whereby they gave Florida cities home rule authority, and they're basically taking away all that home rule authority by taking away every bit of money you have, basically.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East. Jerry, Mr. Greenway and I have talked about this a lot. I've had the opportunity to become friends with him and the opportunity to worship with him at the same church. So a lot of conversation along those lines. But I was just asking you, because I started following local politics closely back in 1995. Can you think of a time where you feel that local government, and I'm talking about cities and counties, have ever been under greater attack than this year?
Absolutely not.
And I can't either.
Yeah, it just seems to get worse. I thought, maybe they were upset about a particular issue here and there the last 4 or 5 years, but it's becoming like a crescendo of bad stuff. Really, I said jokingly to somebody, I think the legislature hates cities. They basically don't know any other way to look at it, but it remains to be seen, because a lot of this stuff could go down the toilet before it passes, and I certainly hope so, because that's where it belongs.
All right.
Jerry, when does that go before the Senate?
Well, the property tax thing is the House has already passed 203, House Bill 203, and the Senate does not have a companion bill, but I absolutely expect there's going to be one. So not much you're probably going to do about that, but troubling. Senate Bill 1014, and House Bill 225. Those House Bill 225 comes up every year, and it's not passed yet, but now they have the dual slam here. I just really more concerned about that than, because utilities, having to provide utilities in the manner they're talking about, would be, I think, really unfair for the residents of the cities. And it thinks at the benefit of developers. Just my 2 cents.
All right, city manager report. Any good news in this
Well,
report? The last one was a little bleak.
Yeah. Some good news. I mean, we are moving forward with the shuffleboard repairs. We got an email back today from the Florida Department of Emergency Management, just basically authorizing us to for an extension, as we pushed out to June 30th. But we are actively just finalizing the process to get them to get the their building permit and everything to do the roof repairs. But everything is good to go. I expect no delays. That's it. I mean, we're actively with the grant for the sewer hardening project. The Florida Department of Commerce is very active with the meetings that we have. So they were even, when I told them I had to go get approval just to sign the agreement, they're like, you have to go get approval? Can we have this immediately? So I told them, I said, I'll have it. Well, it's going to be quick and it'll be coming back to you. But they're moving it along. We did put Andy Mogul, so he's locked in, and I think we're in good shape to monitor and go through and get this grant. But it's definitely needed because the less money that we, the more that we save in the repairs that we're doing with what we're doing now is more that is in our funds, and the less that we have to offset with any additional revenue. So I think it's, I'm in agreement with, I don't like what I just heard, but I think it's going to require out of the box thinking, but it's going to be a challenge on government with budgeting and how we move forward. We're lucky in some extents, but it's going to be a challenge. But we'll come up with a solution.
Very good. Anything else for the good of the city?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Thank you.